hit that like and subscribe button, guys, if you're new to the channel, if you enjoyed the video. So the other day I saw a video that Barbershop Conversations had with Andre Ward, and I saw it via recommendation, right? I was like searching on YouTube, and through the side of my eye I saw a recommendation of that video. Now, Barbershop Conversations is a part of the Ldbc, and I haven't like really kept in touch with the Ldbc in terms of looking at their videos, watching their videos in a long time. But when I watched that video, it kind of reminded me as to why I stopped watching the Ldbc. You know what I'm saying? Because when you look at that video, you know, Andre Ward, the guy in the interviewer, Barbershop's Conversation, the guy was confronting him about the fact that, you know, he made comments about Deontay Wilder, and he said that he shouldn't, you know, about him after the fight that he had with Tyson Fury, and he was basically saying that he shouldn't want that smoke again in a rematch because of how difficult of a fight Tyson Fury was for Deontay Wilder. And of course, the Barbershop Conversations took that as they got angry at Andre Ward. They got upset with him. And they got upset with him because Andre Ward is a black guy. Now, the thing about the Ldbc, and I'll tell you my history with watching the Ldbc. Way before I ever created the channel, I was a subscriber. I've been in back then they used to call it the YTBC, you know, the YouTube boxing community, right? I first started watching the YTBC back in 2010. So I've been in the YTBC just as a subscriber for like 9 years, right? Back then I remember watching, this was before the Ldbc was formed. I remember watching guys like, you know, Blood Boxing, what's his name? Just a bunch of American channels back then. And then the Ldbc was formed, right? Guys like 78 Sports TV, you know, and all the other dudes. Blood Boxing, I don't know if he was ever a part of the Ldbc, but I remember at the start he was always like doing, you know, live streams with 78 Sports TV. I know those two are close, but the thing that always I noticed right from the get-go with the Ldbc channels is they've always been basically pro black channels. You get what I'm saying? Like, they make videos simply defending black fighters, and they'll go around saying they do this because other channels make videos simply defending white fighters, right? Or you know, or guys that are basically not black, right? And then they'll call those channels racist and shit, right? But it's like, they'll call those channels racist because they say that those channels, again, I'm not saying that there are no racist channels, but basically what they'll say is they would go around making fun of defending black fighters because they say that white channels do the same thing with their white fighters, right? They go around defending their white fighters. But here's what started turning me off is every time, like when it comes to these Ldbc channels, every time a boxer who's black, if a boxer who's black, like say something or has an opinion about another boxer who's black, they immediately attack that fighter. You get what I'm saying? Like, they'll look at that fighter and they'll start calling him names like a coon. He's tap dancing. He is sellout. You get what I'm saying? I remember they were doing this with Bernard Hopkins back in like 2013. Bernard Hopkins, he works for Golden Boy, and he had comments on other fighters, just comments, just opinions. I believe he was talking about it was either Floyd Mayweather Jr. or some other black fighter, and you will see Ldbc channels making videos crucifying Bernard Hopkins, calling him a coon, right? Calling him a coon, which is basically like a coon is basically like a white man lover or some shit like that. I don't know. They do the same thing with several black fighters. There are channels that they simply defend black fighters, but then if that black fighter defends a white fighter, they go around crucifying him. Kind of like with Andre Ward. Andre Ward's a black guy, so when he went around saying, "Listen, I don't think he should fight Fury for that rematch," because that's all he said. I don't think he should fight because I don't think he wants that smoke because that's a difficult fight for him. They took that as in, oh shit, he's a black dude, Andre Ward, and he's going around saying that Deontay Wilder shouldn't want that rematch because it's too much for him. Nah, we gotta hate on him. We gotta call him a hater. We gotta make fun of him. And a bunch of LDBC channels were making fun of Andre Ward. And this is what they do. They make fun of. They don't make fun, but they basically, like Andre Ward said in the video, you jump ship. They jump ship if they see a black dude simply critiquing or having an opinion about another black fighter. They jump ship on him. And they basically throw him under the bus because when it comes to them, they talk about it's all about race. It's all about that's something that always turned me off about the LDBC is it's always about race. If a black fighter is fighting a white fighter, they always gotta say, all right, it's like Dante's Boxing Nation would say whatever he used to say, but he used to say some referring to black fighters, and they would always act like black fighters or like everyone's against the black fighter. And it always turned me off because me growing up watching boxing, whenever I would see boxing, I never looked at it like, oh shit, this black fighter's fighting this white fighter, so it's about race. It's a black man versus a white man. I would just look at the fucking fight. I never thought about that. That thought, I started watching boxing in the mid 2000s. When I was a kid, I never once thought about that. I never looked at, a black fighter versus a white fighter and thought, oh shit, this is about race. This guy's fighting him. Because the only time I started listening, hearing that nonsense was when I joined the was the YTBC. When I first joined, that's when I started seeing channels making videos talking about like, it's black man versus the white man. It's black. And then I started seeing like even some other pro white channels, to only, like they'll give only white fighters credit and then black channels will just give black channels credit. And, thank God that not every channel's like that. There's some channels out there that they don't focus on race. They don't just say it's a black and white thing. They just make videos focusing on the matchup, the styles. If you look at me, when have you ever seen me made a video saying, oh shit, there's a black guy versus a white guy. This is a black and white type of fight. Never in my life have I made a video about that. Never in my life. Because when I look at the two guys fighting, I don't care if there's two black guys or if there's two white guys fighting. I just look at it like this is a matchup. So I'll make a video saying my thoughts on the matchup. Never have I once made a video saying there's a black man versus a white man like a lot of these LDBC channels we do. I don't know, like I feel like in the LDBC, a lot of these guys, they have this mindset where they feel like it's a black and white thing, right? I'm just going to defend black fighters, right? I'm going to critique, because a lot of these guys, they'll just defend black fighters, and then they'll make videos, they go around saying that there's other channels out there that only defend white fighters, and they critique black fighters, but they do the same thing. They go around just defending black fighters, and then they'll make videos calling every foreign fighter who is considered the best guy in the division a hype job. He's overrated. They'll say that Alexander Usyk is not really is a pretender. He's not really a pound for pound great fighter. They'll say shit like Vasily Lomachenko is not really a pound for pound fighter. They'll critique every fighter who's not black. So they're doing the same thing that some of these channels do, where they just kiss the ass of white fighters, right? So it's kind of hypocritical, right? They say a lot of these channels out there, they'll just, I guess these pro-white channels, they'll defend, they'll criticize black fighters, but then they'll just kiss the ass of foreign white fighters. But then they do the same thing. They'll kiss the ass of only black fighters and then critique and crucify every white fighter who's considered like a pound for pound or a good fighter out there. And they'll say how this guy's flawless, how this guy has flaws, he's overrated, he's a hype job, right? They did it with Gennady Golovkin, with Vasily Lomachenko, all these guys. That's why I stopped watching channels like that. Like, when it comes to me, I don't follow channels who defend one certain race. That's just how I am. If I see a guy who's just defending black fighters, I don't subscribe to that channel, because I know what he's all about. He's just about pro-black, and he's just going to be crucifying every other race and just defending black fighters. The same thing where if I see a channel that's just defending white fighters, I'm like, all right, this guy's just a pro-white type of channel. He's going to be crucifying all black fighters and just kissing the ass of all white fighters. So I stay away from channels like that. I I subscribe to channels that do not talk about race. Like, if I see a channel not talking about race and he's talking about boxing, I know this guy's not about the pro-black or the pro-white. You know, this guy's just a boxing fan who has an opinion and who's not looking at it like black versus white. He's just looking at it as styles versus styles. You know, because that's the type of channel I am. I don't focus on the race. And you never hear me talk about race. But this is the video I wanted to put out there. And why I kind of stopped like looking at Ldbc channels, because they talk about they make it a black and white thing. It's just only black and white for them. It's a black and white thing, you know. Like Andre Ward said, he's not just a pro this. He's a pro everyone, and I think that's how every channel should be. You should be a pro everyone. You shouldn't just be a pro this, a pro black because you're black, or a pro white because you're white, or a pro Latin because you're Latin. You should be pro everyone. If you're a boxing fan, at least that's how I am. I never look at it with race. I just look at it with styles. Some of my favorite fighters happen to be black. Some of my favorite fighters happen to be white. Some of my favorite fighters happen to be Spanish. You know, what's his name? Manny Pacquiao's Filipino. He's one of my favorite fighters, at least when he was in his prime. So, again, I wish that other people could be like that, but unfortunately, it's not how it is. A lot of people, a lot of American boxing fans feel this way. Not all of them, because there's certainly a bunch of American boxing fans out there that are like myself, but a lot of them think like the Ldbc. It's just a black and white thing, man. It's just a black and white thing, man. Anyway, that's all I have to say, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'm out.